Every powerful man in Hollywood wanted these 10 women. Every single one of them said yes. What the studios never told you is this: these women were keeping score. They knew exactly what they were trading, exactly what they were worth, and exactly how much damage they could do with what they knew. Some of those men paid for it, for the rest of their lives. These are their stories. She was 16. The man who discovered her at a Sunset Boulevard soda fountain was 34. That detail never made it into the fan magazines. By the time MGM signed Lana Turner, 3 powerful men had already staked informal claims on her social calendar. She never refused. She learned fast that refusal had consequences measured in screen time. Turner went on to make 65 films, survive 8 marriages, and outlast a scandal involving a mobster's murder inside her own home, committed by her teenage daughter with a kitchen knife while Lana watched. Through every single frame of it, she smiled for the cameras. That smile was not joy. It was the most expensive armor ever worn in this town. Number 9. Rita Hayworth. Columbia Pictures altered her hairline with electrolysis. They erased her accent. They changed her name from Margarita Cancino and told her the Spanish version was box office poison. Then they built an entire studio mythology around her body and called it glamour. Harry Cohn, Columbia's iron-fisted president, referred to Hayworth in private correspondence as a studio asset, not an employee. She married Orson Welles specifically to escape him. It didn't work. But here is what nobody printed. Rita Hayworth selected her own men above Cohn's head. She chose strategically, deliberately, always one level above whoever was threatening her. In a system designed to trap women, she kept moving. The men who wanted her most were always the ones she kept waiting longest. Louis B. Mayer propositioned her within 72 hours of her arriving in America. She declined. That single decision defined the next 20 years of her life, in ways neither of them understood at the time. Hedy Lamarr was carrying 2 things when she landed in Hollywood: a reputation as the most naked woman in European cinema, and a scientific mind that would co-invent the signal-hopping technology behind modern Wi-Fi. Mayer used the first. He actively suppressed the second. He believed a thinking actress was a dangerous actress. The men she chose were chosen on her terms. She called it the only real power a woman in Hollywood ever has. She died in 2000. Her patent earned her $0. The technology is now worth billions. The town took everything except the one thing they never understood she had. Number 7. Jean Harlow. They said she had no talent. MGM employed her regardless, because Howard Hughes had loaned her to the studio under conditions no legal department would ever document in writing. Her platinum hair required a weekly application of bleach, ammonia, and Clorox directly to the scalp. The chemical damage was permanent and progressive. She died at 26 from kidney failure. In the 3 years before she died, she made 11 films, maintained 2 studio-arranged public relationships, and reportedly told her mother, "I feel like a very expensive piece of furniture." The men who built careers on her image attended her funeral in dark suits and gave moving eulogies. Not one of them mentioned the bleach. Not one mentioned the contracts. They rarely did. Number 6. Jane Russell. Howard Hughes spent $1.1 million producing The Outlaw in 1941. For one reason, Jane Russell was 19 years old, and he wanted the world to see exactly what he saw. Censors banned the film. Hughes fought them for 3 years. During those 3 years, Russell sat under personal contract to Hughes, available for his private social calendar and legally prohibited from working for any other studio. She was 23 before she made a second film. She went on to build a real career, legitimate, respected, and lasting. But in 1994, she told an interviewer very quietly that the personal availability clause in her original contract had meant precisely what it sounded like: The interviewer never published that section of the transcript. Some silences in this town were purchased, others were simply understood. Number 5. Marilyn Monroe. You think you know her, you don't. You know the photograph. You know the dress over the subway grate. Between 1949 and 1962, Marilyn Monroe documented at least 14 separate instances in her private journals where career advancement was explicitly tied to sexual compliance. She called the system the assembly line. But here is what separates Monroe from every other name on this list. She used the assembly line to build her own factory. In 1954, she co-founded Marilyn Monroe Productions, wresting creative control from the men who thought they owned her. She won repeatedly and brilliantly against opponents with infinitely more institutional power. Then she died at 36 on a Sunday night in Brentwood with enough unresolved truths to fill a congressional hearing, which notably never happened. The studio system protected its secrets even after it stopped protecting its stars. Ava Gardner arrived in Hollywood with an MGM contract and a Georgia accent they spent 2 years training out of her. What they could not train out was the absolute refusal to perform gratitude. She slept with whom she wanted, left whom she wanted, and told Louis B. Mayer directly, on at least 2 documented occasions, that his opinion of her personal life was not something she had requested. She was married 3 times to Mickey Rooney, Artie Shaw, and Frank Sinatra. All 3 men were reportedly devastated by the endings. Gardner was not. She moved to Madrid in 1955, then to London, and lived the second half of her life entirely outside the system that had built her. When asked if she missed Hollywood, she said she did not miss anything she escaped. Number 3. Katharine Hepburn. In 1938, a group of exhibitors published a trade advertisement listing Katharine Hepburn as commercially toxic. The industry laughed. Hepburn bought out her own RKO contract, paid for it out of pocket, and returned to Broadway. She came back to Hollywood 2 years later with The Philadelphia Story, a property she had personally acquired and controlled. The men who had wanted Katharine Hepburn learned something no other actress of the era had successfully taught them. She decided who, when, and under what precise conditions. Her 27-year relationship with Spencer Tracy was conducted entirely on her terms. He was married. He never divorced. She never asked him to. She understood something most women in this town never grasped. That real power was not possession. It was the permanent, sovereign right to choose. Number 2. Ingrid Bergman. America received 6,000 fan letters per week addressed to Ingrid Bergman at the RKO lot in 1944. She was everything the country wanted: European, luminous, apparently devoted, seemingly untouchable. The men who arranged private evenings with her during those years were careful, discreet, and well protected by studio infrastructure. Then she fell in love with Roberto Rossellini in 1949, carried his child before her divorce was finalized, and became the most publicly condemned woman in American entertainment. A sitting U.S. senator denounced her on the Senate floor. She was blacklisted for 7 years. Every single man who had wanted her and had been given access to her disappeared into professional silence during her public destruction. Not one spoke in her defense, not one. She returned in 1956, won her second Academy Award, and never publicly named a single name. That silence was not weakness. It was the most devastating power move in the history of this industry. She knew exactly what she was holding. She chose never to use it, which meant every man who had wanted her spent the rest of his career wondering if today was the day she would change her mind. Number 1. Mae West. Before there was a casting couch, there was Mae West, and she had already flipped it over, examined what was underneath, and sent an invoice. West did not stumble into the Hollywood system. She arrived having already served jail time for a Broadway production that the city of New York deemed obscene. She was 38 when Paramount signed her, ancient by this town's scandalous mathematics. Her first two films saved Paramount from bankruptcy during the Depression. Saved it. She was earning $480,000 annually by 1935, the second highest salary in the United States behind only William Randolph Hearst. The men who wanted Mae West were informed, cheerfully and directly, in her own words, that the arrangement would proceed on her schedule, her terms, and her timeline exclusively. She never signed a personal services clause. She never performed public gratitude for a career she had built alone. She wrote her own scripts, controlled her own image, and selected her companions with the cold, strategic precision of a chess grandmaster who had already seen the endgame. Every other woman on this list navigated the system. Mae West was the system, running in the opposite direction, laughing and collecting the receipts. The studios lost their grip in 1960. The iron-fisted contracts expired. The Dream Factory closed its most secret rooms, but the architecture never disappeared. The same geometry of desire and power that shaped these 10 lives simply changed addresses. These women were not the exception to Hollywood's golden age. They were the price of admission. Every frame they ever filmed was purchased at a cost the credits never listed. If you want to know whether anything truly changed, look carefully at who is still deciding which women get to be seen and who is still holding the camera.